New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
Let's go. It's your boy, Lee, the Latin assassin, Escobedo, here on the At the Time show, giving you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. And boy, do we have a doozy. I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is I'm holding down the fort, baby. The bad news is there's no Ebony, Jay Ellis, or Ryan G, but we're going to be okay. I want to give Jay Ellis some props and some double blessings for allowing me and trusting me to hold the show down by myself here. I'm going to keep it quick. I'm going to keep it brief, but I'm going to give you some of that great Knicks talk for us to rally around and celebrate an incredible team win by the bench. So to start, our main man, Tom Thibodeau, doing very un-Tom Thibodeau things, as we've seen over the last 12 months. He has shown an ability to evolve. And one of those signs of evolution is sitting all five starters in a preseason game and allowing the bench, and most importantly, the end of the bench, the third string guys who will not be in a rotation, guys who could be packaged later on as trade pieces or developed in the long term and not be in a rotation for 2, maybe 3 years from now. Those guys get a chance against real NBA talent. And a super positive, Charlotte's full roster was healthy tonight, at least the guys that really matter. I'm talking about LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, RIP, Nick Richards. Those guys are available and playing against our second and third string. So how do we do? 111 to 105, Knicks in Madison Square Garden. And here's the great thing. We didn't even shoot that well. Our offense has still not clicked yet, which means we have the next month to 2 months to fine-tune this thing to where it's going to be a juggernaut come May. Yes, get ready for some hyperbole. Get ready for some hot takes. It's just me. There's no one to rein me in. So I'm going all in on this championship season that is going to be the first of multiple championships for New York Knicks dynasty. Y'all ready in this nation? Let's get into the details. 3-point percentage, another rough night from the perimeter. We shot 16 of 45, came out to around 36%, but we also played good on D on them on the perimeter. They were 18 of 49. So we were able to play some defense and lockdown, mainly because we had a continuous and consistent minutes from Deuce McBride, Precious Achiuwa, and Pacome Dadiat, who we will get to later. From the free throw line, 11 of 15, not too horrible. Some of those free throws also included Hot Porty and Precious Achiuwa. So some guys who aren't used to drawing fouls and getting to the line were doing so. But here's where the Tom Thibodeau imprint was maintained. Rebounds, 59 advantage to 46, Knicks. Offensive rebounds, 7 to 13, advantage Knicks. And wouldn't you know it, assists, 28 to 21, advantage Knicks. So without Jalen Brunson, without Josh Hart, without the playmaking of Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges, we were still not only able to outpace them assist-wise, but get up there a little bit past the league average to 28 team assists. And points in the paint, we'd had the advantage 44 to 30. Again, no Karl Anthony Towns, no backdoor cuts from Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, and no driving lanes for Jalen Brunson. But we still had Deuce, McBride, and Hot Porty, Ariel Hot Porty, coming in the lane, catching dimes from Tyler Kolek. Unbelievable day for us Knicks fans who have been long waiting for the Knicks to finally have a young core again. Not really since the days of Gallerani, Wilson Chandler, Timofey Mozgov, have we had a group of young guys under the age of 23 that are all being drafted and developed at the same time. But I really thought about something brilliant today that Leon Rose has put together, and I would love to hear y'all's comments in the chat on this too. It's unbelievable how each young guy we have, I'm talking about Kolek, I'm talking about Pacome, I'm talking about Hot Porter. We haven't seen Kevin McCullough Jr. I hope we do at some point, but it might be a while. But of those three, Think about the level of basketball IQ and ability that's in front of them. And not just what's in front of them, but in front of them with players that are dominant in things that those young kids are not dominant in yet. You got Tyler Kolek, who's more of a pass-first point guard, but has Jalen Brunson, who has the best five-level scoring bag in the NBA, a lead guard, is there to teach him everything he knows. On ball, ferocious Mad Dog defense, Deuce McBride in the position to teach him what he needs to know to become at least a good team defender in the future. Pacome Dadia came in as a soft touch, finesse, three-point shooter. He's got Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby there to teach him how to guard 1 through 5. Unbelievable. And then Ariel Hotporty came in as a rugged, raw, rebounding, setting screens, rolling to the rim. He's got the best big man shooter in the NBA to show him touch, to show him floaters, to show him a pull-up game, to show him a three-point game. Ladies and gentlemen, the future is very, very bright, which means once this Jalen Brunson-led dynasty commences, we also have the future to build off as well, because our draft picks control are regulated right now by the Brooklyn Nets for the foreseeable future, at least till 2031. So we're going to need this young core to eventually slide into secondary and tertiary roles within a 9-man rotation. And I'll tell you what, it looks like Walt Perrin needs a raise, because this past draft was an all-time banger. Let's get to the game. First up, many double blessings and double prayers to our main man, Landry Shamet. I really hope that the injury will not keep him out for a long time. But if it does, I think this front office has done right by our guys. We didn't ship off Julius Randle and did Dante DiVincenzo to the hells of Washington or the hells of Charlotte. We sent them to a contender. So I think that we're going to do right by our players. And Shamet has done nothing but deserve an opportunity in the future. If he's waived now with the promise to bring him back later in the season through his sign and trade Brock Bauer maneuvers, I think that will be the case. I'm not worried about him being gone forever, but there might allow us to have an opportunity to really add another piece with his role on the team to TJ Warren, who also played very well and gives you a lot of that on-ball bailout action. If the offense falls apart, he can get into an isolation set and create something in an intermediate game or get into the hoop. So it might be, in a way, a silver lining with Landry Shamet's injury, but we still, as Knit Nation, all of us agree, we loved what we saw from Landry. He brought us a shooting, brought us a mid-range, but what we didn't really realize was the defense, and he was actually really solid, very strong team defender in that backcourt with Deuce and Bryce. So I definitely want to give a shout out to Shamet. I hope the injury is not too severe, but if it is, I have no faith. I have all the faith that Leon Rose would do right by our guy and bring him back into a team when we're ready to this chip. All right. There's also some points I want to make to give credit and credence to our front office that put us in this position before we get into the nuts and bolts of certain players. I'm not going to talk about every player, but I'm going to talk about a few that really caught my eye. Some good, mostly good. A little bit things that need to be worked on. You could call it bad, but it's all semantics in the end. There's 4 things that I think Leon Rose has done and will continue to do with this roster that has turned us into a real contender. And I'm going to go through these 4 very easy because it leads into my point of going to the player evaluations. The first one is prioritizing in-the-bench talent. I think he's really realized that the Dwayne Washingtons of the world, the Charlie Browns Juniors, they're become unplayable once the playoff starts and the nuts and bolts tighten and the pressure of a game is intense. You need guys who have playoff experience, who are unafraid of the moment. And now he's taken away the Quentin Grimes, the Emmanuel Quiglers or Obies that were too scared to shoot, or the Charlie Browns, Dwayne Washingtons, who should never shoot and should never see the floor. And we're probably not even on the NBA roster 12 months from now. Now he's locked that up with Shamet. Let's hope he's okay. But also our main man, Cameron Payne, and Ariel Hotporty, and now TJ Warren waiting in the wings. So that's one huge plus of understanding that in the bench is really your safety valve or your safety net when injuries occur. You can now rotate players who have NBA experience, in this case, Cameron Payne with finals experience, into your rotation and maintain that veteran dependability. Second, screw feelings. Listen, and no, myself included, I didn't think that this Nova Knicks was ever going to be broken up. I thought this is Brunson's team. They're trying to placate to him. And why not? You got a very gentle, solid, kind superstar that's willing to take major discounts for your organization to maintain flexibility. We don't win on the power of friendship. Leon Rose saw an opportunity to make this team better, and he said, screw feelings. Pull the trigger. Randall, fan favorite, long tenure Knick, controversial in some regards, but Dante DiVincenzo, man, maybe the greatest single season shooting display in Knicks history, not just breaking the record, but at the volume he was shooting and the clutch moments, especially against Philadelphia. Those moments would never be forgotten. But when it came down to making the team better, Leon Rose pulled the trigger. That's something that some past GMs have been afraid to do. Third, learn from your mistakes. Don't trade all your picks and all your players in one deal. Some trades, like OG, just player-based. You get rid of Emmanuel quickly, you get rid of RJ Barrett, and then you turn around for Mikal Bridges, and it's pick-based. Bojan to match salary, and then 5 future first rounds, only 4 of them being Knicks. That type of maneuvering, not giving up the whole bag off rip, allows you to have flexibility and maintain around the margins at other opportunities when you have to get another player. And fourth, mastering second-round pick development. Hot take time. First one of many. I really believe that Leon Rose is the best GM / executive in choosing outside the lottery in the NBA. Think about Sam Presti, who has, in my opinion, an unearned regard as a draft wizard. He's really bombed outside of the lottery. Most of the guys he's drafted outside of the lottery during his current rebuild, meaning since SGA came on the team in that Paul George trade. The second round picks he's drafted, Earl, Jamison Robinson Earl, Poku, Trey Mann. Oh, man, what was that? Unbelievably god-awful French kid. Theo Maledon. All those guys are off the team. Meanwhile, the Knicks have either parlayed their second-round picks or first-round picks, like Grimes or IQ, into trades, or we're starting to see the development of guys into real rotational players. I'm talking about Deuce McBride. Tonight, Jericho Sims, but also Ariel Hotporty, Pacome Dadiot, and my main man. You all right, white boy? Tyler, the creator, Kolek. Ballin'! I'm super excited. So those 4 points, I think, have really not just developed us, but solidified us into a winner, not now, but also for the foreseeable future. Moving on. Let's talk about Deuce McBride. I've been a Deuce McBride fan since RIP. When he was drafted, I love the player profile. I love the idea of having someone who could guard the point of attack, who could also guard off ball, who had the ability to score at the 2, but defend both the 1 and the 2. Those are rare players in today's day and age. And the shot wasn't there. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't Socrates, man. I didn't foresee or be able to be philosophical about how his game could grow. There's a lot of undeterminedness about him that we didn't get to see in real NBA minutes. Everything we saw was in the G League. And a lot of guys look way better than they are in the G League, but then when they hit the NBA minutes against NBA action, NBA timing, and NBA physicality, they revert back to normal. They go back from the Holt to Bruce Banner. And Deuce was someone who I wasn't sure what his offense could be. At this point, I don't know what the ceiling is. I'm not saying all-star, not saying star, but I think very quality starter level point guard or 2 guard is definitely in his future. And there's a case for him to win Sixth Man of the Year this season. I've heard some people go as far as most improved player. Most of the time, a player who wins most improved, like Randall, they get to the point where they're averaging 20 points or more a game in a season from 13 or 14 or 10 to 11. I think Deuce is going to be somewhere in that 15 to 16 range, but I think Sixth Man of the Year is definitely an opportunity because he will be a real bench player. That he will not be a starter who comes off the bench. Jalen Brunson is the starter. So, and Josh Hart and Bridges are next to him. He will be a real bench guy who will come in and fill a real bench role by lighting up from three-pointer, which he's become one of the best three-point shooters in the game, both on volume and on accuracy, but also as someone who is showing off a brand new intermediate game. Today, I saw him split a double team, something I don't think I've ever seen him do before. And he split it with his offhand, his left hand, and he really is starting to get confident in his dribble. Not just his dribble upon catch, but also his dribble in creating action once the game plan has delineated to, hey, this is a Deuce McBride isolation opportunity for you to go downhill or play, make it get someone else involved or get your own bucket. He's getting way more confident in isolation opportunities. And I think you're going to start seeing Tom Thibodeau make the leash longer on him to be able to have those opportunities when he's playing along with Mikal Bridges or one of the other starters in a bench opportunity. I think there's going to be a lot of ceiling left for him to fill. And if we get to the playoffs this year fully healthy, he's going to be a key piece off the bench for us to be hitting big shots and big lockdown defensive moments. Also, Pacome Dadiot, man, just when we need another long wing, we got one. This kid really, since Summer League, has shown a surprising ability to defend the 2, 3, and 4. And I think there's also some opportunity later on to learn from OG. He might be able to even defend a little bit of the 5 if he gets his fronting timing down too. But man, the kid can shoot. We saw some mid-range today. We saw a floater. We saw him get to the hoop and drive to the basket. But the 3-point shooting from that left corner obviously is a favorite spot of his. I wasn't aware of his shot diet when he was playing in Germany last year, but it's obvious that he has a tendency to really favor the left side of the floor. And if we start running some action, same action we run from OG for Pacome in spot minutes when he plays, he could really develop into a rhythm where he might end up being called upon with this injury to Landry Shamet to play higher than spot minutes, maybe to start the season or until we fill that 9-man rotation role with another signing or a trade down line. But I love his sense of awareness. I love that he's not fouling. Most of all, he's not scared. I think that's been something common with Leon. He gives you an opportunity. If you can't eventually get into a position where you are not scared to shoot that thing in the playoffs, he's going to move on from you. You saw it from Grimes. You saw it from Obi. You saw it from RJ. You saw it a little bit from Quickly. Quickly wasn't necessarily scared to shoot, but when his shot would get consistently off, he would start deferring. This kid ain't scared. 16 points in his first quarter of NBA basketball in the preseason. 16 points and perfect from the field. 4-4, 2-2 for 3 in the second quarter. Wow. Plus he gives you length. Plus he gives you a very high-level dribbling for a small forward or a lean power forward. This guy has the physical tools to add to his game to be more than what he is. I think he could finally be what we wanted Kevin Knox to be. Someone who can give the ball to him and let him have an isolation in the elbow and say, work with me. Either get your man off the dribble, pull up for a J, or kick it out and playmate to your teammates as backdoor cutters or spraying out to the perimeter. He has that ability. He has that IQ. And just like Hot Porty, he plays like a vet. It's exciting to think about, man. Like, this is the 3rd game of preseason. Am I overreacting? Hell yes, fourth game. Hell yes, I'm overreacting, but there's a lot to be happy about. We just set our entire starting 5 and played the bench, and they beat Charlotte's starting 5. Charlotte, in my approximation, is a play-in team. They're going to be somewhere between 10th and 8th. They're not horrible. Granted, the East is weak when it comes to the bottom of the conference, but that doesn't mean that it's not a very difficult thing to do. But take a group of guys who don't have a lot of continuity. Shamet, brand new. The rookies, brand new. Payne, brand new. You're looking at guys that haven't really played with each other very much, that have only had a couple of weeks, and they're beating the starting lineup for the Charlotte Hornets. I'm impressed. I'm sorry. Call me a homer. I don't give a damn. I'm spitting hot facts right now, and I am really excited for the present and the future. Here comes the apology form. Jericho Sims, you weren't perfect. You made some boneheaded plays, but I got to hand it to you. The IQ looked a little bit higher today. A little bit. The timing was still off on a few rebounds I think of in that first and second quarter when he was getting a lot of burn. There were a few times he was out of position and he came down not facing the ball or not facing the outlet to a teammate on an offensive rebound. But there were also some moments where I loved the hustle and I loved the moxie. And I felt like he had a little bit more of an awareness of where his teammates were out in the court so he could run the routes he's supposed to be running to get these rebounds and to have his opportunities to cut to the basket for that monster slam that he had in, I think, the third quarter it was. Yeah, the timing was a little bit better, and I think especially the way he navigated drop coverage in this game, which when he's out there, Tibbs is going to depend on him in drop coverage. When he's not, and it's Karl-Anthony Towns or OG Anunoby or Precious at center, I think we're going to see more switching. But every time Jericho Sims and Mitchell Robinson out there, you're going to see drop coverage. And he navigated the drop in terms of when he hedged and when he didn't, I thought at a pretty high level today, keeping them out of the paint, and added easy buckets around, which is why we boosted them in both rebounds, offensive rebounds, and points in the paint. We bested them in all three. Really, keeping a team to 30 points in the paint is a pretty solid accomplishment, especially when you don't have both your centers in the rotation this game, only depend on Sims and a rookie in Hot Porty in the second round. I mean, these are two for second round picks, Hot Porty and Sims. I'm impressed so far. That's going to be a great battle to watch for that third string center position. I think Sims gets it until he shows Tibbs why he shouldn't, but Hot Porty could potentially take that spot by the middle of the season, but definitely I think will next season. Now the MVP. I'm going to read you a little quote here, man. I'm going to tell you what. Precious Achiuwa was and is a huge addition for the New York Knicks. I wrote that 1 hour after we acquired him in a trade with the Toronto Raptors on January 5th of last season. And I said that because as much as I hate the Miami Heat, you have to trust their drafting. And as a former Miami Heat draft pick, I believe in the first round, Precious Achiuwa is a beast. He gives you everything that the Heat culture wants, which is toughness, never taking a playoff, knowing that the little things, the fundamentals of basketball, excelling in those, and then also working on parts of your game that make you an invaluable asset to the rotation. What can you do that no one else on the team can do, and do it as an expert in that field? That's Heat culture, and that culture is starting to be replicated in New York with Knicks culture. And Precious Achiuwa came from the Miami Heat organization, then with the Toronto and the Kyle Lowry trade, then came in New York in the Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett trade, and he has been a monster for us. Not just last year, but he's starting off showing a little bit more of the bag. The three-point shot was actually going down, and he was shooting it with confidence. That was the most impressive part of it. Not just that he was making it, but you could tell he was no longer afraid in dribble handoff situations to catch that thing and let it rip. He was shooting with confidence, specifically from the corners, which was something I really wanted to see. I was like, man, if Precious can give us 33% shooting from the perimeter, yo, we don't win it all. We're going to steamroll our way through the East until we hit Boston, and we're not going to be afraid of anyone, because when Karl-Anthony Towns sits down, now we have someone who at least has to be a threat or perceived as a threat by the opposing team at the 5 position from 3. And he has been unbelievable. Gave you 20 points, 16 rebounds, 3 assists. Between his 3 assists, Miles McBride's 5 assists, and Cameron Payne's 8 assists, that really is where we got that advantage of 28 total team assists, with those 3 guys specifically, not just in the assists that were accounted for by made buckets, but the hockey pass that led to the pass that led to an assist. Those 3 were in a lot of those actions, and I love seeing Precious Achiuwa be more of a focal point on the offensive end, and not in that, man, with so many guys in the past, like Jerome Junkyard Dog Williams, shout out, or, Ronnie Turioff, or Jared Jeffries. It was 4-on-5 on offense. Yeah, they gave you diving for loose balls. They took, they set hard screens. They took hard charges, but they gave you nothing on offense. Precious is starting to buck that trend and really is not just giving you a 3-point shot, but high-level finishing around the rim, offensive rebounding, and some acute awareness to kick out when you see that double or that blitz coming and find the open shooter. Man, Precious Achiuwa is giving it to you. I really believe that he is going to be the reason that we don't have to make another trade for a backup center. I think Precious can fulfill the minutes at both the 4 and the 5. If you look at the numbers last year of everyone he played alongside, from the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, he was always in the plus. Not the best stat, but he was always in the plus when it came to him performing alongside his teammates. He understood their rhythms, their strengths, their weaknesses, and amended his game to be the best possible complement that he could in the minutes that he had on the court. So, man, Precious to me was an MVP. My pop said it in the text, and I agreed 100%. But I also want to give a major shout-out for Pacome going perfect from the field in the second quarter, and then Tyler, the creator, Kolek. Man, you all right, white boy. This is one of the coldest white guys I've seen come into the league, and the American white NBA player is fairly being phased out. It's mostly from these European, Scandinavian, Eastern European bloc coming over here and playing from Serbia or Latvia. It's those guys that are coming over and really playing at a very high level, lottery pick level, future star level. Kolek is, I can't remember the last time that a white point guard came in, American born and made, that balled at this level. It wasn't just scrappy, taking the charge, right? TJ McConnell, but really showed a depth, like awareness offensively for his teammates as a playmaker. He almost had a triple-double. He was probably the best all-around player in this game, which is unbelievable playing against starters in Charlotte. He finished with 7 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists, and 9 rebounds. Wow. He does have broad shoulders, a little bit of a bigger body, even though he doesn't have much athleticism. If somehow he's able to box out or at least know where the ball is going, play his angles, and grab some boards. He's this kid. I think the hype train is going to be real this season. He's going to be somebody that a lot of people are going to be talking about and keeping an eye on because of our glut at guard with the Knicks. There's no way we can trade this kid. I don't know what this means for the future and how we navigate the depth chart, but this guy by next season needs to be the backup point guard and move Deuce McBride to a backup shooting guard. I think those two can do some damage, and the more reps they get off the bench together this season, the better their continuity will be next season when we're going on, not our first, but our second championship. What do y'all think, man? Let me do some shout outs to the chat. This has been unbelievable. I'm going off, y'all. I'm hyped. I am going off, and I'm hype as hell. It's preseason. I'm overreacting, but I don't give a damn because this team has given us everything we wanted for years. Hard work, effort, not giving up on a play, not coming here just to take James Dolan's money on a way inflated paycheck and playing way past their prime, giving us awful minutes, non-winning basketball. These guys, from the first man to the 15th man, give a huge damn about the orange and blue and New York Knicks team across their chest. They're giving you incredible basketball, and they're giving us something finally to root for. Man, I'm hyped. Let me shout out the chat. My man, Fritz Alcindor, the best mind in the game, also an excellent basketball mind and host. Honestly, Fritz is a hell of an intellectual. I don't know if you've ever had a conversation with Fritz. He's one of the smartest people I know. Have a conversation. Hit him up on Twitter. But first of all, follow him on Twitter at Fritz Handles. Drop your handle in the chat, Fritz. Follow him, DM him, get a link for his podcast, the NBA Economy Show, and have a conversation with him, man. He's got a great heart, unbelievable heart, and a great mind as well. Knicks Nation TV. Appreciate the Flames. Gamer Channel. Let's go! Coach CR shouting out Fritz Alcindor Jr. with the crown. That's right. He is our king. Stats man Sadu, they did a hell of a job drafting. Absolutely right, brother. In the first round, in the second round, it's really been incredible. Not just finding talent in the draft, but finding these guys in the margins like Dante DiVincenzo, Isaiah Hartenstein, Cameron Payne, Landry Shamet, and these guys are taking less money to come to the Knicks because his campaign said this is his best chance at a championship. Can you imagine that? We went from Steve Francis, Mike Bibby, Baron Davis, washed, broken, bums, to this. We got high-quality third-string, fourth-string players that want to come to this team to get that chip. Let's go! Prezi the boss, the fifth beat of a KOT universe. That's my main man, Fritz. Listen, if you ever want to know what the real fifth Beatle is, just Google one name, Billy Preston. You'll understand why I call Fritz the fifth Beatle. He was genius behind the scenes as their keyboard player. Yo, Alexander, Walt Perrin-Hive, yo. Walt Perrin. Man, the hires that Leon Rose has done, man. Walt Perrin, Brock Aller, both those guys have been key to building this championship team. And you know what? Shout out Dursan Rosas, man. My man follows me on LinkedIn. That's my LinkedIn homie. Double salute to Dursan Rosas, the first Latino executive president of basketball operations in the NBA. Gotta give him a shout out. He follows me and stalks me on LinkedIn. I hope you're watching right now, Dursan. Thank you for getting us Karl-Anthony Towns. That was a hell of a fleece. I appreciate you. Thank you, Walt Perrin, for finding Ariel Hotporty and fleecing Nico Harrison and Mark Cuban in that draft day deal for a second-round pick. I don't even know what Ajenko, whatever bum we gave them, that guy's probably out the lead like right now. But Hotporty, meanwhile, is throwing down vicious dunks on the Charlotte Hornets starters. Rest in peace, Charlotte Bobcats. Coach CR, we literally have the best front office ever. This is absolutely the best front office in its history. I've done my due diligence. I've done my research. Yes, he is better than Dave Checketts. This is the best Knicks GM/executive in the history of our franchise, and he's going to bring us not one, but multiple championships. Appreciate you, Leon Rose. Gilbert Escobedo, my pops, is in the chat. Good call on Achiuwa. You better believe it, pops. You know, the day that trade happened, man, We were all frustrated when we saw that we sent out Emmanuel quickly and we sent out RJ and we just saw OG. We were like, damn, plus draft capital, Shams being ambiguous. We were like, how much did we give up for these guys? Then we saw that the draft capital was minimal and Precious Achiuwa was coming back too. I immediately called my dad and said, Pops, not only the type of player my dad likes, hardworking, blue collar, tough as nails, willing to do dirty work. I told him, Pop, you will love Precious Achiuwa. And that's what inspired me to make that tweet, which turned out we love him, baby. Precious Achiuwa is here, and he's here to stay. This contract will be extended. Mark my words. Yo, Alexander, LMAO, LinkedIn Lee is what they're calling him. Let's go. Yo, Gerson, man, I'm down to do freelance work. You can hire me on contract, whatever you need. If you need me a model, the knit Speedo, if you want to hand me a few jerseys, you want to consult me on contracts. I know I'm pissed off a lot of my Twitter haters because they love saying that I love playing GM. But hey, man, I'm in charge tonight, baby. It's Elias Speedo show. Let's go. Corey Lindsay, how do you feel about the trade? I'm not sure what trade you're talking about. I'm just talking about the Karl-Anthony Towns. I loved it from Rip, man. I tweeted one word when the trade went down, and that was dynasty, because I feel like Karl-Anthony Towns is a perfect fit for Jalen Brunson, driving lanes, picking pops, and picking rolls. It's on, man. Coach CR, do we have his bird rights? Who are we talking about for the bird rights? Precious Achiuwa? I'm not sure, but I don't think we'll need it. I think between Leon Rose and him, if he was willing to waive his trade rights, his trade clause, there's guarantee he's staying in his hometown, man. He came here when he was 7. He didn't want to go anywhere else. He's staying here for the long haul. Glamour Knicks, my girl, the queen of Dallas. Glamour Knicks. Glamour, I'm going to be hosting a KOT watch party when the Knicks play the Pacers, I believe. It's going to be officially KOT branded. Ebony's doing the flyer. We'll love to have you and the family out there, your friends, and all the Dallas-based Knicks fans get together and throw a party. I will be the host. I will try my best to be on a microphone. Might even freestyle. Who knows? Corey Lee, salute to my guy, Fritz Alcindor. I'm on your block. Let's go, my boy Fritz. Man, I love Fritz, bro. Have I said this already? I love you, Fritz. I love talking to you. I love being your friend, and I love hearing your takes on knit trades. You go out the window, bro. That's why I love you so much. You're like me. You're super optimistic, and you love jumping out the window and going all the way with a trade scenario. It's fun, man. Why not? DJ Shoecase, do you think Achiuwa should be placed in the starting lineup? I have argued with Jay Ellis about this. Jay Ellis initially was Precious Achiuwa hive in the starting unit, and I think Ryan was too. I can't remember who Ebony was. Ebony might have been Deuce. I can't remember 100%. I was initially Marcus Morris. That didn't work out too well. Then I was Landry Shamet. That's not working out too well. So now I think I'm leaning toward Precious. I think Jay Ellis was right. I do think that Precious is probably the best fit because of him doing the dirty work. He helps equate some of that rebounding loss from Julius Randle and Isaiah Hartenstein, and he really allows sometimes for Karl-Anthony Towns to not always have to guard the best center, because now you can rotate not just OG, but Precious on whoever that big is and give multiple looks and varied looks as well, different kinds of defenders at the 5 spot. So, I would love to have Precious at the 4. I think he would gel really well. And Josh Hart is just best off the bench, man. But as the Tibbs stands say, the super knit positive guys, you don't know more than Tom Thibodeau, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, man, but we can all have our opinions and give them an equal credence. It's all equal under the eyes of James Dolan. So give your takes. Don't be afraid to. And anyone tries to shut you up, give them a slap and say it came from me. Gilbert Escobedo, Pops. Precious has a 3-shot now. I hope so, Pops. Man, I'll tell you what. You're yet to be wrong about a player in a long time, so I hope the 3-ball is real. If he give you 33%, look out. A 33% from 3, Precious Achiuwa. That's dangerous time. Those are scary hours for real. Man, call your sneaky link, have her come over, him come over, turn down the lights, watch some knit ball, and get ready to have an unbelievable night. Alexander KOT, orange and blue hearts. I appreciate that. Glamour Knicks. I'll look and see if I'm available. My mama's supposed to be visiting me. Bring mama along too, man. We love a good mom. I love my mama. She's more than happy to be invited. Understand if you want to do other things. Prezi the boss. Hey, Tibbs is a 2-time coach of the year. I'm not arguing with that, brother. And I'll take it a step further. Tibbs is going to be one of the few 3-time coach of the year winners this season. Leon Rose, you heard it here first. Executive of the year. Tom Thibodeau, coach of the year. Deuce McBride. Sixth man, Jalen Brunson. Both MVP and Finals MVP. You heard it here first. Gamers Channel, we're going to be unstoppable once Mitchell Robinson comes back. I think we're unstoppable even before Mitchell Robinson comes back. We are unstoppable, period. Our offense hasn't even clicked yet. We are seeing plays being broken and then recovering and building something out of nothing. A lot of our shots are bailouts. A lot of our threes are misses. Wait till we get clicking. The bench is already clicking. The bench is already on fire. They have that continuity. They have that trust. Once the starting unit figures out Josh Hart's role, how can we move him out of a dunker spot, make him be more of a short role playmaker, put him in those Draymond Green opportunities and spots on offense where he can kick out, more than have to really create off the dribble or catch and shoot on the perimeter. That's when we're really going to click. And having Karl-Anthony Towns as the best stretch five in the NBA is going to make everything easier for everybody. Corey Lee, my guy Lee, light the hat and no cab driver cap. Man, listen, I almost put on a crop top. I almost put on some hoop earrings. I said, you know what? I'm going to keep it professional tonight. I know my dad's watching. I'm not going to wear my Free Palestine shirt or anything like that. I don't want to lose watchers and listeners for me expressing myself. But, I still came with the swag, though. I still got my Spike Lee shirt on. I still got my chains representing. It's still a dirty South down here in South Dallas. We love y'all, man. Mikey Uno, appreciate the love. Yes, I am on fire because I saw the future tonight. That's really what I did. I opened my eyes and I turned on my TV and I saw the future of the New York Knicks. And my brothers and sisters, it is bright. All right, what else? I went through all the players I want to talk about. Let me go one more over the stat sheet, see if there's anything worth mentioning. Any day that Miles Bridges loses the basketball game is a good day. If you hit women, you should be hit too. And it's unfortunate he's still playing NBA, but it is what it is. They will fine and suspend Kyrie Irving for not taking a vaccine. But here we are watching Josh Primo and Miles Bridges play NBA basketball and get paid millions of dollars to do so. Deuce, 18-5, 1 rebound. Cameron Payne, what a pickup, right? Cameron Payne is better than every point guard of the last 20 years, except for Stephon Marbury, Raymond Felton, and Jason Kidd. Cameron Payne's better than every other bum we've had wearing orange and black. Do y'all remember this name? Trigger warning. Tony Douglas. Do y'all remember Tony Douglas? Do you remember when Tony Douglas was supposed to be the playmaker for Carmelo Anthony and Mary Stoudemire? Do you remember how that turned out? Where are they now? Someone called Carmen Sandiego. Where is Tony Douglas? I want to get on my podcast. I want to ask him what made him think that he could be the starting point guard for the New York Knicks. I got to know the answer to that. Got to know. Speaking of which, we got more Knicks players coming on the podcast soon. That's a little tidbit preview teaser for you. I'm pulling the strings behind the scenes. I'm trying to get some of our favorite former Knicks and some of our least favorite Knicks on the show to talk ball. I won't say who is who or what is what, but be on the lookout for that. TJ Warren, very solid. I hope he gets that last roster spot. Depending on what happens with Landry Shamet, he gave you 11 points. He gave you 7 rebounds. He is a great bailout option when a play falls apart and you need something out of isolation. He can give it to you on 3 levels, even draw fouls. He's at a 38% career 3-point shooter. He's had some foot issues, some health issues that have slowed him down. But man, he's a solid vet. To have him on a 10-day contract is kind of absurd. Like, it's unbelievable what Leon Rose is cooking in this kitchen. Jericho Sims, I'm not going to hate tonight. You were solid. 7 points, 10 rebounds. I think he's averaging some absurd number, like 20 rebounds per 38 minutes or something, per 48 minutes that he's playing. Shout out Jericho Sims, man. If there's one thing I want you to do, it's rebound the ball, because we lost a lot of that with Isaiah Hartenstein and Julius Randle outgoing. Kevin McCullough Jr., I have no idea what's going on with you, bro, but I hope one day I see you suit up. I hope it's not Kalina Azabuti situation where you're, or Katino Mobley, where you're by name only and we never have to see you actually on the court in its jersey. I hope you do play, because the tape of you is incredible defensively. And I think you have a shot, a burgeoning shot you could develop in this Knicks developmental system that could be a contributor in about 3 or 4 seasons. So I hope it's not Kalina Azabuti, knocking on wood. I hope you end up getting to play some spot minutes as the season progresses. That's it, man. Light your prayers, candles, pray to your gods, kiss your mama, and let's hope Landry Shamet is okay. Let's send those double, triple, and quadruple blessings Landry Shamet's way. Injuries are no joke. And this is a big hit for us, because he was really I saw it as Cat was filling Devo's role on the perimeter, and I saw that Landry Shamet was filling Randall's role. So I was like, we're going from 33, 34% shooter, 4 or 5 attempts a game to a 38, 39, 40% shooter on the same volume. Man, that's going to make this an even better shooting team. So his loss is huge. I really hope that he's okay. Until then, LinkedIn Escobedo will keep y'all abreast on Twitter through my contact, Durson Rosas. I'll let you know what's going on behind the scenes. I hope he's okay. But I agree, Corey Lee, this is the best bench in a long time. Absolutely. Positively. Book club time. That's the game. All right, y'all. I know I get on here all the time and I say, this is the best player, best trade. I'm aware, all right? I am self-aware. I know that I'm a hot mess sometimes. Let me tell you about the greatest comic book I've ever read in my entire life. It's by a literal genius named Grant Morrison, and it's called The Invisibles. This is volume 1. DC bought Vertigo. It's originally released on Vertigo. DC since bought it, and they released the entire series in 4 500-page volumes. This comic was a lot of the groundwork was laid for simulation theory and the philosophical elements of alternate realities, black magic, the fusion of cybernetics and humanity, the idea of the soul, the redeemer figure, and all the great religions and myths. This was a groundwork for all of what was influencing the Matrix. Grant Morrison was doing in 1994 with The Invisibles. It's an unbelievable comic. It's a group of hackers that are brought together. Yes, this did come out before the Matrix. They're come over under the auspice of saving the world, but in reality, they are making visible what is invisible, and that what is invisible are the multiple layers of reality and consciousness that all humans exist on at the same time. So it starts playing with the concepts of time. It starts playing with the concepts of reality. It starts taking up the concepts of the self, what makes a human being a human being. And it's also the way the narrative is laid out in the structure. It's almost a choose your own adventure, because typically between cells and comic books, this has been the case since the 60s and 50s in old like action comics or whatever type of comments you're reading. What happens in between the cell is an opportunity for the reader to use their imagination. That's the difference between active listening and passive listening, or active watching and passive watching. The difference between watching There Will Be Blood or Transformers 4 or Fast and the Furious or No Country for Old Men. The editing, it takes the role of the cell layout in a comic to where what you don't see, what happens between cut to cut, is your imagination is supposed to take over and fill in the gaps. This comic does that, but it does it in a non-linear form. So you're not only filling the gaps what happened between A to B, you're also filling the gaps between A to Z and Z to A, because all kinds of storylines are being told simultaneously. It's an unbelievably challenging book. It's the slowest I've read a book. I didn't read this in one day. It took me about 2 weeks to read the comic because I reread chapters over and over again. I had my thesaurus, I had my Google, I was Googling things, I was looking up the God structure, basically the family tree of gods in Aztec religion, which is used as the basis of the story in this book, to where each god represents a certain industry in America. And those industries are based upon the supernatural powers or the deity biography of said god. So it's a really interesting expose into how Western society is constructed, because Western society is a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. It's based on a formulation of ideas and liberties and rights that have been used in different countries in different forms since the last 300-400 years, even before that. This book is really examining that and taking a scalpel to the idea of what we think is our reality and the illusion of choice, and it breaks it down to in a really it's simultaneously concise but also really, really dense. So if I had an opportunity to suggest 3 books in my entire life, The Invisibles would be on that list. So call me out in the future if I say there's a comic I've read better than Invisibles, because I tell you I'm lying then, but I'm not lying now. You can find The Invisibles on eBay between $20 to $25. Brand new, it's 30, volume 1, released by DC on their Black Label, which is kind of their publishing division. It's related to adult comic books, graphic novels of a philosophical or intellectual theme. The Invisibles, man. Artwork, unbelievable. Every great artist contributes to individual comics, so you get the full swath of what was happening during the golden age of the 90s, when writers like Warren Ellis and Grant Morrison and Neil Gaiman and Alan Moore were all creating some of their best work. The artists were also creating the best work too, and all of them contribute to each volume of The Invisible. So yeah, did it while it's hot. It was released about 5 years ago. You find it on eBay. Anyways, I love you guys. Much love to Jay Ellis. Thank you so much for getting this opportunity to host the show and for trusting me. I owe you my career, man. I love you so much, Jay. You're my main man. Also, love you, Ebony. Love you, Ryan. Love you, Fritz. Fifth Beetle. Yeah, man. Shout out. This has been the Good Time Show. As you know, what's the phrase he does with World Wide West? It's a mess out here in these knit streets. That's the show. We appreciate you. Much love. Peace.
York, New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
NYC.